Let's get back to Alice Springs now. A report will be handed to governments today, both state and federal, and it will call, we think, for the government to step up its response. The report will look into whether opt-out alcohol bans should be implemented. Many locals agree alcohol is a key part of the problem. Others say there are bigger issues affecting the town, but alcohol is a common thread through all of it. Joining me live now is the Minister for Indigenous Australians, Linda Burney. Linda, thanks so much for your time. What needs to happen in Alice Springs?
Hi, Laura. Beg your pardon?
What needs to happen in Alice Springs?
Look, the Prime Minister and I and the Special Envoy for Reconciliation and the Voice, Patrick Dodson, visited Alice Springs last week, and we met with a range of stakeholders. I also met with Darrell Anderson, whom I've met previously, and she's an extremely competent person, and I'm glad she's been appointed to the position. The report will come out at some point today, and obviously it will be deeply considered. What we're expecting, Laura, in the report is a reflection of just the sort of statistics and the harm being done in Alice Springs as a result of alcohol and a range of other things. I'm really pleased you said that it's not just about alcohol. We also expect the report to reflect what's going on in the community and some recommendations and a number of options about a way forward. And obviously they'll be considered very carefully. Clearly the issues in Alice Springs are extremely challenging. There is the issue of alcohol restrictions, but there's also the issue of what's happening for young people. So there are short-term and longer-term things that need to be considered.
Should this report be made public? I'm sure you don't need this report really, though, to tell you about the extent of problems in Alice Springs. I mean, we've heard from the locals ourselves here on the program. But should we be able to see in black and white spelt out the issues that Alice Springs is facing? And what do you think about this idea that Natasha Files seems hell-bent on, and that is pushing ahead with giving these communities a ballot to vote themselves on whether they want a full alcohol ban or not?
Well, my position is very clear. This is about protecting women and children. For me, that is the most important thing. When I was in Alice Springs last week, and I'm intending to go back in the next 2 weeks, I met with business owners, I met with community groups. I actually attended the Brown Street Youth Facility, and there were about 40 or 50 young people there on the evening that I was in Alice Springs. And I do think it's important that you talk to the local community. They're the people that are living in Alice Springs. They're the people that are having their lives turned upside down in many ways. Donna Archie, for example, head of Congress.
Does that mean you agree with this idea of a ballot?
What I'm saying is that we will look at the report that's given to us by Darrell Anderson today, and depending on the actions of the Northern Territory government, I will see what needs to happen, if anything, through the federal processes. But the key to this, Laura, is about working collaboratively with the NT government and the local government and the local community. There is no point coming in over the top. That does not work. And that's what the previous government did. And let us remember that the alcohol management plans were completed for the town camps. Nigel Scullion, when he was minister, did not deal with them. And the Stronger Futures legislation finished in July before the Parliament resumed. So there needs to be an understanding
Sure.
of what the timeline has been
I just
in
want
relation
to raise
to
that
this.
as well. I understand the timeline, but you were elected in May. Yes, there wasn't extended by the previous government. I accept that. But we're now here in January. You've been in power for 8 months. Why is it taking a crisis and the focus of the national media back on Alice Springs to kind of force some kind of intervention here? I mean, you can't really say, Minister Burney, that, I mean, you haven't had time to consider this over 8 months. You're in power now. You could have reinstituted that Stronger Futures legislation, could you not?
The Stronger Futures legislation lapsed, and it lapsed under the previous government. What we're doing now, and it's not true to say that I've just responded in the last little while.
No.
I have been working collaboratively for over 6 months, 7 months, both with the Northern Territory government and community organisations in Alice Springs. I've met with them several times. I've been to Alice Springs twice, and as I've indicated, Laura, I'm going up again in the next week. It is crucial in situations like this to work with the local community. When I was in Alice Springs last week, I walked around the shopping centre and spoke to a number of businesses. One business was closing down because they couldn't get staff to Alice Springs. Other businesses were really concerned about their well-being, but they're also concerned about the town. I spoke to someone who related to me that the ICU was full of women, Aboriginal women, who had been beaten.
Just on that,
they're
Linda,
the real issues.
If I can ask you this as well, I'm sorry to do this because we are running out of time. I hate to interrupt you, but I've got to ask you about the voice, because my question is, how is the voice, whether it gets up in a constitution, I think it will, how is it going to influence government policy if, when you had 2 Aboriginal women from Alice Springs in the parliament telling you to return alcohol bans and you didn't listen to them?
Well, nothing is off the table, let me put it that way. And alcohol bans were introduced last week. And as I say, we'll wait for that report. In relation to the voice, it's really about 2 things. It's about making sure that Aboriginal people have a say on issues that affect Aboriginal people within the parliament by way of legislation. But the other really important thing is recognition that finally our constitution will recognise that we all share a continent with the oldest living continuous civilisation on the planet. Fundamentally, that's what the voice is about. And I am saying, finally, I know we're running out of time, to Mr Dutton, you will be coming to the working group meeting this week. Come with an open heart, come with the view that this is a moment for all Australians and there is goodwill that has to be involved.
Linda Burney, we always appreciate your time. Thanks so much.